cold breeze swept down the street, as Norma, a quiet widow in a faded shawl, stood silently outside the bakery, her hands clasped in front of her. The smell of warm, crusty bread wafted through the cracks of the old wooden door, wrapping around her like a memory, sweet, aching, and unreachable. Behind her, her daughters huddled close. Daniela, 8, the quiet dreamer, and Lupita, 6, with a spark in her eyes that hunger hadn't yet dimmed. They stared through the glass display, where golden conchas and soft bolillos sat like treasure. Twice a month, if fortune smiled, Norma could buy a small roll or a sweet bun to split between them. But today, her pockets were not just light, they were empty, not a single peso. Not even a copper coin lost in the seams of her bag. Daniela's hopeful eyes met hers. Lupita, oblivious to the weight behind her mother's silence, whispered, "Maybe just a small one today?" Norma forced a smile so fragile it could shatter with a breath. "Just a little patience, mi vida," she said softly. The words ached as they left her lips. Inside, Don Chema, the baker with rough hands and a heart he kept buried under years of bitterness, eyed them through the window. He had known Norma for many months, seen her come, seen her go, seen her pride, her quiet strength, and her struggle. He weighed the bread with mechanical precision, his eyes flickering between the rolls and the woman who couldn't pay. Norma stepped inside, her shoes tapping gently on the tiled floor. She opened her worn purse and searched it with trembling fingers. A receipt, a button, a paperclip, but no money. Her breath caught. She looked at Don Chema, her voice a whisper. "I'm sorry." Daniela looked away, cheeks burning with quiet shame. Lupita clung to her mother's skirt. Don Chema let out a weary sigh and began returning the bread to its tray. A tiny sound, Daniela's sharp exhale, cut through the silence like a tear in cloth. Norma straightened, her pride screaming even as her stomach growled, "It's okay, niñas. We'll eat something else today." They stepped out into the street. The wind was sharper now, almost cruel. Norma held their hands tightly, hoping to offer warmth she didn't feel herself. Then, "Señora!" They turned. Don Chema stood at the door, his eyes darting away as if embarrassed by his own kindness. He pressed a coin into her hand with a muttered, "Just take it." Norma opened her mouth to speak, but before the words formed, a sleek black car pulled up. The engine purred like a well-fed beast. From it stepped a man, clean-cut, tall, dressed in a tailored suit that whispered of wealth. He moved with the confidence of someone who'd never had to beg for bread. Without a glance at Norma, he entered the bakery. The door chimed once. He bought 7 loaves, fresh, warm, fragrant. When he stepped out, he didn't walk past her. He turned, held out the bag. "Take this," he said gently. "You won't go hungry today." Norma blinked, unsure if she had heard him right. Their eyes met, just for a second, but in that second, something passed between them. Recognition, maybe, or respect. She didn't ask his name. He didn't linger. With a nod, he was gone. Daniela and Lupita squealed, hugging the bag of bread like it was treasure. Norma remained still, one hand on her chest. She didn't understand it, this unexpected mercy. But for the first time in months, she felt the wind shift. The next morning, Norma woke in darkness. She reheated yesterday's beans, dressed the girls, and walked them to school through the misty morning streets. As they parted, Lupita tugged on her sleeve. "Mama, was that man a king?" Daniela laughed, but Norma didn't answer. Kings didn't live in their world, at least not the kind with crowns. She went on with her day, searching for work, sweeping floors, washing clothes, ironing shirts that weren't hers. Any job, any dignity she could buy with her labor. 3 days later, while dragging her aching feet home, Norma heard a soft honk. The same sleek car slowed beside her. The window rolled down. "Buenos dias," came the familiar voice. It was him. She paused. Her instinct told her to walk away. Good things always came with a price. But he stepped out. "Eduardo Ramirez," he introduced. "I saw you the other day. There's something about you. Strength. Grace. Reminds me of someone." Norma's eyes narrowed. "What do you want?" "I need someone trustworthy at my warehouse. Managing inventory. It's not charity, it's a job." "Why me?" Eduardo didn't blink. "Because I had a mother like you." Norma took the job. It was simple, honest work. She organized records, labeled boxes, managed. Norma ignored them, until the whispers turned to accusations. Inventory went missing, records tampered with, and the blame fell on her. Eduardo, torn and pressured, suspended her pending investigation. Norma walked home in silence. That night, she couldn't look her daughters in the eye, but she refused to be broken. She spent every free moment combing through files, receipts, logs, and finally, proof. Monica had manipulated the system. When Norma brought the evidence to Eduardo, he didn't ask for explanations. He called a meeting. Monica's lies were exposed. The truth was ugly, but freeing. And in Eduardo's eyes, Norma saw more than gratitude. She saw admiration. One afternoon, while organizing old records, Norma found a familiar name, Luis Ortega, her late husband. The document was old, a supplier's invoice. Luis had once provided cheap packaging to Eduardo's small startup. She took it to Eduardo. He stared at it for a long time before speaking. "I never forgot him," he said. "He helped me when no one else would. When I saw you that day, I knew." Norma's chest tightened. Was this her story or her husband's legacy? "Did you give me this job because of him?" Eduardo met her eyes. "No, I noticed you because of him, but I believed in you because of you." Months passed. Eduardo offered her a promotion, more responsibilities, a future. Even hinted at something more, a life together. But Norma had one condition: no more secrets. Eduardo nodded and told her everything, including the hardest truth. He had a daughter, one he'd just met. It was messy, complicated, not a fairy tale, but it was real. And Norma had lived long enough to know real was better than perfect. A year later, they opened a small bakery, not in a rich district, but right in Norma's neighborhood. It was bright, clean, filled with warmth. The scent of fresh pan dulce filled the air. No one left hungry. The sign read, "El Bolillo de Casa." Behind the counter, Norma smiled as she served mothers, children, workers. No one stood outside with empty hands. One morning, Lupita hugged her tightly. "If Papa could see you, Mama, he'd be proud." Norma blinked back tears. The sun rose outside, casting a golden light across the bakery floor, and for the first time in years, her heart, like the bread, was whole.